Hi. Wanted to share something with you. I've shared this on Instagram, some of my Love Lockets. And so what I decided to do is share a tutorial, a modified tutorial on how I make my Love Lockets out of paper. And then also, I basically do the same process for a larger version. This year, this was my husband's Valentine card, so I actually turned it into a card, but it could be a, like a journaling book too, which would be really fun. So I'll apologize right now because this video's kind of long. No, it's not kind of, it's long. I'm sorry, but it's a make-along, and I sped up some of it so you don't have to watch me do some of it repetitively or whatever. But I didn't have a big plan before I started. I just decided, I'm just going to make one and share it with you. So the one in the video is this one. It's using some of my watercolor paper hearts that I shared in a previous video. And I'll link that video in the comments too, if you want. I mean, in the description. That's the word. And then I just want to show you the inside of this, of my Love Lockets. If I can get my, there we go, finger to work. So inside my Love Lockets are little teeny tiny journals to write words of love and encouragement. And then also there is a pocket. Let me get something here that you can add a little note to, which actually I should have already done this. I'm supposed to have a heart in there, and there's not one, darn it. Anyway, so I wanted to show how I make these and just give you a couple more options. This is more of my painty papers. This one's freshly glued, so I need to be careful not tear it up. But this one I actually did a slightly different spine. I actually sewed the spine in this one. It's still a fold out, but it's slightly different. And this one also has a pocket in the front and in the back. So I can show you how this works. So of course it's not gonna work when I have this on camera. Okay, I really need some cardstock to fit in there. I did it on purpose kind of snugly. I kind of stretched that lace so that way over time it'll stay, firm, if that makes sense. Anyway, so there's another option, I should say. And then this one is another option. It's actually put together just like I did this one. Just thought I'd show you a couple more options on how these little journals work. And that's a pocket too. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started. So to make the little journals, we need something for a cover. And what I did, because I wanted this to be a quick project, I just went into my painty paper stash and pulled out some papers. And this may look familiar, or maybe not, I don't know. I did this on a video in January, a couple weeks back, where we made hearts in different ways, and this was watercolor. I used watercolor. Watercolor, yeah. Anyway, I just cut a piece out because I just did these hearts all over the paper, and if you're interested, I'll link the video where I did this project in the description below. But basically what I did is I just cut a little piece out that I knew I wanted to use, and I actually sealed this. Since it's watercolor, I didn't want the pigment to reactivate, since it's going to be a cover of a little journal. So I sprayed it with this stuff. I only use this when I have to, because oh my goodness, it is so stinky. If you've never used it, beware. You have to use it outside. It's really stinky. You could also use hairspray. A lot of people will just use hairspray, and you could do that totally. I mean, it's just a simple journal, so use what you've got. Okay, so that was done a long time ago, and it's now good and dry, and I don't have to worry about this, if it gets wet, reactivating. And then I'm going to fussy cut this, and I think, actually no, I'm not going to follow that. I'm not going to fussy cut it. I'm just gonna kind of fussy cut it and just see what happens. So the way I make these hearts is I like the spine basically to be one side of the heart, the long edge, and so that way it opens up. It's like a double heart, but it looks like a whole heart when you do it that way. And then that's the back because it just was from my painty paper. All right, so I don't know if I'm going to put something there. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it for now and maybe come back to it. So once you've got something for the cover, here's another example. Is this is also painty paper, and I just use this mono printing paper. A lot of people call it jelly paper, jelly printing. And it was just in my stash. And so this is a book page, and it's kind of a heavy book page. So, you know, if you've ever made a journal before, you know the drill. I mean, you want something a little more substantial as the cover, right? I mean, you could make it more like a, you know, lightweight too, actually. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want. So that's what I did. I just used some of my painty paper, and then I did the same thing just like I did here. On the painty paper, I just looked at it and decided where I was going to fold it. I folded it, and then I cut my heart out of this paper. And then I embellished it some more. I added some more paint to it. I made another heart out of some more painty paper, which I just used some of my, in case you're curious, I just used some gold. This is tissue paper, you know, like gift wrap tissue paper. I love painting on it. That's one of my favorite papers to paint on, is tissue paper. And I just made another heart because I wanted it to kind of be see-through. And I use a lot of pearlescent metallic paints on here too. And then that is I have an old typewriter, and I love to use it for quotes and stuff. And then on the inside, I also repainted it because when I did the mono printing here, I just did one pass and I didn't worry about it. I just left it the way it was. So I went in and just added a lot more color. So that's it. And it's still pretty flimsy. It's also sealed really well, which also helps with the weight. A quick tip, by the way, I'll share this really quickly, is if you want to keep your, like after you've painted with, actually you could pretty much any kind of paint. And watercolor, you would have to seal it before you did this because it will run. But if you want to keep the vibrance of your colors, but you don't necessarily want it to be shiny, although this one, I love shiny. You want to use a gloss medium or a gloss varnish to seal it. And when you do that, it'll make your colors literally just pop. And then if it's too shiny after that, because you don't want a gloss finish, then you can go back over it with a, you know, a matte medium and matte it down, but it'll still retain that vibrance of color. It's really cool. Anyway, so that's what I did, and it really popped those colors. If you can see the before and after, this does not have a gloss coat on it. This is just straight off when I was mono printing. And there is some gold, so there is some shine there because I did use some gold paint when I was doing that. But then when I went over it with the gloss, I don't know if the camera's really picking it up or not, but you can really see it in the pinks. They really pop, the pinks and the reds. Anyway, okay. That was kind of a tangent. Sorry about that. All right, so the next thing you need to do after you've figured out some sort of cover, and you know, you could do scrapbook paper. I mean, this is a last minute quick gift. I mean, just use whatever you have, y'all. Just find something. Wrapping paper actually would be really cool. You could back it with some other, like double wrapping paper, or use some other old paper to line your wrapping paper with so it's reinforced. You know, there's so many ways you could do this. The next thing you need to do after you have a cover is find your paper. And I and some clips, paper clips or binder clips or whatever, because I think the easiest way to do this is to, after you found your papers and you folded it over, is you just trace the shape of your cover, since it's, you know, not, you're going to have to hand cut this out in order for it to fit. To me, that's the easiest way. And these are just papers out of my stash. These are older papers I found at the resale shops. That's some coffee dyed printing paper. What did I end up doing? Oh yeah, I only ended up doing 3 sheets. So there's 6 pages here. I didn't want it to be too thick, because really this is a card. I mean, yes, it's a journal, but it's really like a little journal card. So it's not like something, although you could make this, you know, like a full-size journal if you wanted. So anyway, I traced around that. So now let's cut this out real quick. Okay, so we've got our papers. In here. And I may want to trim, looks like I need to trim that up just a little bit, because I really, on this particular journal, I mean, most stuff I make, I don't care if paper hangs out. But this one I do. I don't want that to hang out. But I'll wait till after I attach my paper. So here, you could actually staple it. That would be the quickest thing to do, is staple it, if your staple will reach. Mine won't. I can't. I could probably do this one. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't have a long handled stapler. I guess I should get one, huh? So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm just going to stitch it. Okay, I'll be right back. So to stitch it, you just need, if you decide to use this method, you just need any kind of string or thread. You could use sewing thread even for this one, like double it up, because it's a small journal. I'm going to use this hemp. This is actually, it's a weaving yarn actually. And it's really thin, but I'm totally cool with it being super thin, because this is such a small book. And then you're going to want your clips again if you haven't already done this. So I mean, if you've already made these kind of journals, then obviously you don't need to watch this part. But if you haven't, you want something, these are kind of too big. You could use regular paper clips, or you could use bobby pins. You just want something so your papers don't slip. And you don't even have to mark it unless you want to. I mean, if you want to mark it ahead of time where you're going to stitch, then go for it. I'm not, because I'm only going to put 2 stitches in here and it doesn't really matter. I just want it, you know, I think I'll do about a inch from the bottom. And I'm going to go in from the inside because I want the tie to be on the inside. Okay, and this is where I'm going to have to... Okay, I had to see what I was doing. All right, and if you haven't done this before, I just use a darning needle, actually is what this is. You can buy book binding needles if you want, but if you already have some needles in your stash, use them. Or if you only have a, you know, like a craft store nearby that doesn't carry specialty things, just, yeah, the darning needles I find work really well for bookbinding stuff. Okay, so the one thing I don't like about this thread, and I usually wax it, but I don't know where my beeswax is right now, is it's kind of slippery. So in order to counteract that, this is just another little tip I've used from sewing and lots of stuff. So in case you don't know this, if you wrap it like multiple times, I did like 3 times there to do the knot, it won't keep it from slipping at all, but like with thread like this, but with some thread actually it will. It'll be really, you let go of it and it won't move. But even on slippery, that's the word, it does help secure it. So I'm just going to hold it with my thumb. Okay, and I'm going to double knot that. You could totally put charms and let them dangle. That would be really cute too. Like, you know, leave it long and do some danglies. So depending on who you're giving this to, I'm going to give this to my husband. He would not appreciate danglies, so I'm not going to dangle. But, you know, if I was giving this to a girlfriend or to maybe one of my daughters, they probably would appreciate the dangles, but he wouldn't. Just wouldn't. All right, so it's done. So now all I have to do is see how it's still hanging out. So I'll do that off camera because you don't really want to watch me trim that, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go around and just kind of clean that up. And then after I get it all cleaned up, then I'm going to write just some words of encouragement and some little love notes for Valentine's Day in here. So it'll be, it's a card, but instead of making him a card, I decided to make a teeny tiny journal. Okay, and then this one, let's do this one. So this one is teeny tiny, right? And this one actually could be one of my Love Lockets. And my Love Lockets are made out of vintage fabrics, and I embroider on them and piece them together to make little bitty journals. Basically the same way I'm about to show you out of paper, but obviously the paper is going to go a lot faster. And you can use stuff that's in your stash to basically make the same thing. So this is paper Love Lockets. That's what we're going to make. So after you've found something for your cover, and again, you know, we use this watercolor paper is what I cut out here. I did this. And, but you could use painty paper like I did in the bigger journal, or you could use Tyvek. I love Tyvek because it's very much feels a lot like fabric, you know. And this one I'm actually making, this is the Love Locket I'm making for my son. And one, he doesn't appreciate vintage fabrics and embroidery. But also, it's just not very durable, right? I mean, it's not something you could stick in your pocket. Those lockets are definitely designed to be worn and used, but not abused. And so I know my son well enough to know that it will most likely be abused if he carries it with him anywhere. So I'm going to make it out of Tyvek. And I just took a used envelope from the Postal Service, something I had received in the mail, and I painted it with some metallic paints, and I don't even know what all. I used inks, acrylic inks, and paints, I think. And so you just need something. Tyvek works great. Scrapbooking paper would be great. Painty papers, wrapping paper, like pick something. Just something you have in your stash. Don't think too hard. Just do it. Just get it done. Done's better than perfect, right? Right. Okay, so cover paper. I'm using some of my favorite Japanese paper that I get at Daiso. I love this paper. I love it. I love it. Another good option for something like this, because you need paper that's not super heavy since this is tiny. Tracing paper would work really great. Old book pages that are thinner would work really good too. I'm also going to use this paper bag. So if you have some cool paper bags, you know, that are really thin paper. This also came from Daiso, by the way, in case you're wondering. I don't have a Daiso right here by my house, but it's a couple-hour drive. And last summer, we were headed that direction for a totally different reason. And I told my husband, okay, we have to make a trek to Daiso because I have to. So we did, and I'm so glad we did because we found all kinds of amazing stuff. So if you live near Daiso, oh my goodness, lucky you. And if you don't, I'm sorry. I'm in the same boat you are. And I just wish they would open at more locations. Okay, so I'm going to use this too as paper. Should we do accordion? I think we should do accordion. Okay, so the way you want to do accordion and make it all even is you just fold in the middle. If you ever want to make, you know, the fan fold. So, you know, when you were a kid and you would make a fan and you would start at one end and go back and forth and back and forth. Well, it's easier if you want it to be even to line it up to each fold. So that way when you're done with the accordion, they're all even. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. I just fold up to the fold I just made. So now I made those folds. So now I'm going to make this fold. Let me check something. Yep. So, and all I did was I just kind of eyeballed this and cut a sheet of paper that was a little longer, a little taller than my cover. So we're going to fold it to this one. And we're going to repeat it this way. And it doesn't matter if your folds are not going in the right direction. We'll just flip it back the right way once we figure out how it's going to go in. You know, like, it doesn't matter. Right now all we're wanting to do is make our folds kind of even. Even Steven. Okay, so there's my accordion. So the next step is, let's see, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's good. Okay, what I like to do, because the paper is thin, I like to reinforce this top page that pulls out, so that way that's going to get the most wear as you use the journal. So I like to reinforce it. I either glue it to the fold right next to it so it's a double thickness, or I glue some other paper to it. And so since I want to use this pretty paper, I'm going to glue some of this pretty paper to that. I'm also going to double it up here though, the part that's going to glue into the base of my Love Locket, because I want that to be reinforced too. A single paper is more likely to tear there. So let's glue. Okay, sorry I don't have anything pretty for y'all to look at. I'm just going to use some of my tacky glue that dries really fast. I'm not going to use very much because this paper is really thin. So you don't need much. So I'm just trying to spread what I've already put out there. I'm not putting boatload on there. And I use my old credit card, and if this gets a little bumpy and wavy, I personally don't care about that. But if it bothers you, you might want to, you know, glue it a different way. Use your favorite glue. I don't really care if it kind of bubbles up. And what I like about tacky glue is it's flexible when it dries, and I know it's going to work. You know, it's not going to come undone. So that's what I like about it. All right, so there's the base, the part that we're going to glue down to the cover. Now we want to reinforce this one. And like I said, you can double it up just like I did the base one, or you can... So I'm trying, sometimes with this translucent paper, I will put it, like I've used music paper before and put it behind there. Then you can just kind of see it, or completely put it. I think I'm gonna put it on top. So I'm gonna use my tacky glue again. Oh, double check here, by the way. So double check your folds before you do your final gluing. Double check, make sure you've got your folds going just the way you want, and it is an accordion fold. Check and see where your base, where you're gonna glue it in here, so that's going that way. I prefer my folds to go out, to pull this way, instead of from the inside pulling that way. Does that make sense? Because you could choose either to go where it opens this way, or, sorry, this is really fiddly, or this way, right? There's no right or wrong. I just personally prefer to do it this way. I feel like it puts less pressure on the paper and it's less likely to tear. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. But it makes me feel like that's true. I mean, I think it's true. Okay, never mind. You know what I mean. All right, so I'm already checked my folds. I know this is the side I'm supposed to glue. And I'm going to spread that a little bit better. I also don't care if this is like not perfectly straight or even or whatever. I don't really care. But if you care, you probably want to be more careful than I'm being. I don't really care. Some things I do think to be just a certain way, especially if it's a construction issue and it's going to fall apart, then yeah, I do care about that. I want it to be done in a way where if I'm spending the time to make something, which I'm sure you're the same way, right? You don't want it just to fall apart. Like glue, for example, making sure we're using the right glue for the right project, because there's nothing worse than spending time on something and then it just fall apart. Which, by the way, I bought a glue stick. I absolutely hate it. Maybe it's just me, but I'm going to keep trying it and see. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. You could like leave a little tab. Sometimes what I do is I don't reinforce the whole page, this whole folded page. I'll show you. I'll just glue the extra paper to like a tab, you know, so it's only at the edge right here. So the paper would only be like right here. So when you picked it up, only the edge would be reinforced. So I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities, really, seriously, there's all kinds. The other thing you could do is use washi tape, you know? So instead of gluing paper to reinforce this page, you could just get some of your pretty washi tape and glue it on there. Which actually, I think what I'm going to do, well, I don't know. No, I'll come back. Okay, never mind. Okay, I won't confuse the issue here. Anyway, yeah, just go crazy, you know? Figure out just look in your stash, pull out what you have. If you don't have washi tape, cool, no problem. Use some paper. I love to use music paper, and a lot of times, like I said, I'll just do it on the edge, or I've also done a tab where I use paper like this, and I just make a tab, or I use fabric, like trim, you know, ribbon or something, and make a tab. I just want something so that whatever you're holding on to pull your journal out over time, since your finger is going to get a lot more wear there, I just want it to be reinforced. That's the idea that I had behind that. Okay, so now we're going to glue this in. And as you notice, it does not really work, does it? It doesn't really fit in here. We've got a lot of overhang. And if that bothers you, if you wanted to, which we could go ahead and cut it, and then I would have you know, some extra paper here. I just would rather have a little extra, and then I use these scraps in other projects, so it doesn't bother me that I'm going to end up cutting all that off. If that bothers you, you probably want to start with a shorter piece of shorter piece of paper, but it doesn't bother me. I'm totally cool with that. I would rather have extra than to have it too short, and a lot of times these strips of paper I just get out of my my scraps, and I just make do with whatever, because I'm always cutting pieces off of that Japanese paper. All right, to me that's good enough. I think I'm going to leave some space because we've got to have a closure here, which we haven't talked about yet, and we need to leave some space there at the top to close it. So that's plenty of room. And you could put more room in there, but then that would give us less paper real estate, and we don't really want that. Okay, so we know that's how that's going to work. Before we do that, though, You need to decide if you want to line your, like, see, I don't have anything on the inside of mine because I just used the paper that I had painted on, so I don't have a back. So, I mean, I could glue, you know, something in here, you know, so that it's decorative. I could also put a pocket, like on this one. My Love Lockets, I always put lace or paper and I make a little pocket that you can tuck a note in. So let's make a pocket to tuck a note in. And what we'll do is we'll make, let's see, what are we gonna do? Yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue this in. No, I take that back. I'm not gonna glue it in. I want to make my pocket first, but I also want to make my pocket out of this extra paper. Let's see. Okay, I'm thinking out loud here because I didn't really plan this ahead of time. I just got it out and said, this is what I'm going to make. So I don't have a plan. I'm just doing. I'm just making it. Here's some wrapping paper. I could use this and make a pocket right here with some wrapping paper. Although I don't know if I really want to use wrapping paper. At least that color. This came from a resale shop. And I could make a pocket out of that. Glue it down, and then you would see that there. That's basically what you would see. There's the pocket. No, I don't really like that. Some more wrapping paper. That's kind of pretty. I don't know. There's some more of my painty papers. I could. Okay, so this is tracing paper that I've painted on. And I think what I'm going to do is okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the circle of the stencil thing I used. And I don't throw any of this away, by the way, y'all. You shouldn't either. You shouldn't throw away your painting paper because then you can use that in collage or whatever. And in the meantime, it'll drive you crazy because you have scraps of paper everywhere. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So, just to get an idea. Okay, if I was going to do this for, I'd probably spend a little more time doing this than what I'm doing right now, but I want to get this done because, you know, it's last minute, as usual, last minute. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm looking at where this pocket's going to be on that, because this is the cover. So I want this pocket to be, I think, like that. So I'm gonna snip it right there where I want it to cut it, and I'm just gonna cut straight down. This is tracing paper, by the way. Did I say that? I don't know if I said that or not, but it's tracing paper. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about this yet. I'm gonna glue it down and then I'll trim it because I don't care if it's hanging off. Like, I'd rather it hang off. So there, see, there's the pocket that'll be right there. All right, so now we have the pocket, now we have the paper, and now we need the dangle, because we're going to put a dangle on this one. And in this one, we're not going to use jewelry findings. I don't want to use jewelry findings for this one. I just want to use embroidery. I'm not embroidery, crochet thread. I don't think I want pink though. I think I want red. Yeah, I definitely want red. But you could use anything. Okay, so here's the crochet thread I have. So I could do this. Do I want to do that? I don't know. I also brought some of my yarns. This is something I dyed a long time ago. And I keep all my, just like I keep my paper scraps, I keep all of my fiber scraps and text everything, whether it's yarn, fabric, whatever. So that's too pinky. I don't really like that either. And here's another option. This is some of my hand spun. I did it a long time ago when I was trying to practice spinning super fine. And it's overspun. It's kind of curly cute. But I think this might be the right color, and I like this red better than this red. Although there's nothing wrong with this red. I mean, it looks good. I just have this little scrap of wool, and I thought, you know, I think I'd rather just use some of my own stuff. So I'm using my own heart. I'm using my own painty paper, and I'm not using my own bag. I don't make bags. Alrighty, so here's the decision you have to make. So, I mean, you could make this like I do my the fabric ones, where the fabric ones I actually use jewelry findings and make a dangle and a you know, so it can hang on a piece of chain or whatever. But you also want to do this with the fabric because it gives it a spine and the fabric is softer. Although this one's pretty firm because I use nice thick paper to line it. So this one is pretty firm. The ones that I use only fabric as the lining really need the spine that I put in there. Paper though doesn't need a spine. You know, if you're using a real, like this watercolor paper, it doesn't need a spine. And I want it to dangle. I want it to look, I want it to be soft. I kind of want the opposite of this firm paper. I want something soft. And so do you want to make a loop up here so that you could hang it on something else, you know, like a charm? So you can make it a charm, make a loop. This would make really cute Christmas ornaments too, y'all. That'd be really fun. So you can make a loop so it can hang on something else. You could actually make it long enough so then this becomes your necklace, you know, like a permanent, like depending on what you were using. Because I mean, if you used a chain or if you used, you know, like a hemp cord or any kind of cording, you can make a really pretty necklace and it be permanently attached to your love locket. So you could do anything you want. I am going to make a loop because I want this to be a charm. And I want to leave the options open. So if you, I mean, if you wanted to wear this around your neck, you totally could, you know, with the loop. So I don't want a gigantic loop though. Let's see. I think I want a loop like that. All right. So I don't want that long either. So what you want to do though, if you're using thread or whatever you're using, you want to knot it because you don't, oh, piddle. I didn't knot that right. Okay, hold on. Let me start over here. You don't want it to come undone, you know? So if you're I like to, yes, we're going to glue this and secure it, and it's going to be really secure. But I want it to give the glue some more tooth to hold on to, and a knot will do that. Okay, so I'm just going to make a single loop knot. I'm not going crazy over this knot. Oh, okay. And then do I want the knot to hang out or do I not? I don't know. Ooh, how many times did I say not? I don't know. Oh, we go. Okay, I want my knot to go inside. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. So now I need to determine what I want to go on my dangle. So I'm going to cut a nice little, I don't know, 6 inches, just so I have plenty of working room. And I'm going to pick out some beads. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've picked out some beads. I'm just going to put a few on there. And instead of using a needle or something, I'm just going to make a needle on the end of my yarn. So you could do this with any of your things you use, you know, any kind of cording. Just put a little glue on the end and it'll, though this wool is a little, I think it doesn't do it as well on wool personally. So cotton, this really works well if you use like your crochet threads and stuff. Cording, any kind of hemp cording. For some reason, I guess because wool is so absorbent, I mean it can absorb like 7 times up to its weight in water. Over its weight, 7 times the weight. Did I say that right? Anyway, it's very absorbent, so that might be part of the problem. Okay, so I think I want it to go like this, have the red on the bottom. So I'm going to do this off camera because I can't see. Okay. So I just, oops, I did it the wrong way. Okay, I need it to go this way because I want the little pearlized bead to be on top. And it does, when you harden that tip of your, it just acts like a needle. It's really nice. And you don't have the bulk of the needle. Okay, I don't even know if I do this right or not. Somebody who makes jewelry is probably cringing, but I'm sorry if you're cringing. Okay, so let's see. I want that knot right below the dip in the heart, right there. I also want to look at, by the way, I just want to bring this up really quick. You want to be careful how your loop goes, okay? Because, another little tip that I've learned, it's more important with the wire than it is with the fabric, but, okay, so the whatever it's going to hang from, let's see. Oh, you can get a paper clip. Okay, so let's pretend like the paper clip is whatever it's going to hang from. And I'm going to get a little piece of washi tape. Let's see if this works. Okay. So I have it to where it's now hanging, the loop is going, it's facing the spine. Does that make sense? So the loop is now facing the spine. Let's see what it does when it hangs. Ta-da! So as it's dangling, you'll be able to see the front of the journal. Of course, we'll have it closed so it won't fly open. So that's how we want it to go. Alrighty. So that's what I'm mostly concerned about, is how this top is glued in first before I glue anything else in. Alright. It's glued in. Yay. Okay. My camera had shut off, so sorry about that. I don't know. I think I was doing this. Anyway, you don't want to rush it because you want your knot to be right up against your, at least I do. I want my knot. because I don't want any space there below that knot at the top, and I don't want any space between the knot and the bottom one. The bottom, what's that called? Bead. The bottom bead. Okay, I'm sorry I'm off camera, but I can't see, y'all. I have to, let's see. Okay, I tightened that knot a little too tight already, and I didn't get it all the way up. I'll use my paper clip again. Okay, so what I like to do is like use some small object and kind of direct the knot down, you know. So you kind of pull it down. So I'm pulling down on the loop and I'm pulling up on the yarn, and that will pull that knot down to where you want it to go. Usually. Usually that works. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it worked. Okay, coolio. I think I might do one or two more. Let's see. I am going to glue this knot too so it doesn't come undone. Definitely, since that's holding your everything in place here. You want the knot big enough so that your bead doesn't slip off, you know, like slip through the... So you might want to make sure, which I should have said this earlier, when you're picking out your beads, that the hole isn't so huge that, you know, it's not a ton bigger than whatever thread or cord or yarn or whatever you're using. So I don't know how many times I've knotted this, but it's been several. I'm gonna try to get this last knot right in the right place. Nope, I'm not doing it right. Okay, hold on. This is also just FYI. Another reason why I'm having trouble with this is because it's my hand spun and it's overspun, so it has this twist and curl in it that you will not experience if you're using commercially made stuff. So don't think that because I'm struggling here that, oh, that's really tedious. No, it really isn't, because it's just me and my stuff. All right, so can you see that okay? Sorry if it's, oh, I haven't checked the focus. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trim it though. I'm leaving a little bit of a tail. I don't throw these away, y'all. I use them. I'll have to show you someday what I do with all those if you're interested. Okay, so this time I am going to use Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm just going to do kind of like I did when I made the needle tip. I'm just going to press it into that wool, and then I'm going to press it into my knot. And I kind of like that it's all wonky looking, but you know, you might not like wonky. So I may go back and actually re-glue that again. I'll let it dry and just check it and see if I feel like it's secure enough. And if it's not, if I feel like it should be glued a little bit more, I will. I'll put some more glue on the tip. Okay, so and the beads I use, by the way, I buy mine. I prefer anyway to buy them at resale shops. Okay, so I cut off on me again, so I hope I got what I just did. Okay, so I've pressed this down really good. I think it's good. I'm gonna let it set up a little longer, but I did press it from both sides, making sure that this pocket is secure. Okay, actually I will cut it from this side, because that's the side the paper is going to go on. So trim it very carefully. This time I think I'm just going to actually glue on the heart. Sometimes I glue on the paper, you know, but I think I'm going to do the heart this time because I see about where I want it to be. And I'm going to use my... This just has a little bit of acetone on it, so it kind of thins it out a little and I can spread it. And I'm just going to lay my paper down. And like I said, if you you know, you may not want all this waste. Like, I'm going to cut quite a bit of this off. I am totally cool with that. Just used a piece paper from my stash, and I just kind of rough cut it in my paper cutter. I wasn't too worried about like it being just the right width. So you might want to cut your paper, you know, more like that, because basically that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow the shape of the heart, and it's going to cut quite a bit of this paper off. All right, so now I'm just going to put my peepers back in here. Because fabric tack dries so fast, I'm totally fine with trimming this up already. So I'm going to hold that out of the way so I don't accidentally cut my yarn. And I like to go from the outside to follow along. Okay, I have to look really close so I don't accidentally snip. Oops, I just did it again. Sorry. Keep hitting the camera. I'm so sorry. Gosh. I need to get better at that. Oh my goodness, sorry. All right, I think I have it now. So you could, if you wanted to make this, you could do it like this, like, you know, a regular journal. You could actually sew it into the spine, and then have this on the outside, you know, that also holds the spine in place. Does that make sense? You could totally do that. You could. I'm just really loving the fold out. Now this one is super delicate because I have such a sharp angle. I'm totally cool with that too. You may not be, because it's very delicate. So what I'm going to do, I won't do it on camera, but what I will do is I'll go back and reinforce this with this paper. I'll go back with a second layer. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could just take this and like, let's see. Well, it's a mirror image, so I can't do it that way. But I could take, you know, like do that and then trim it up. You know what I mean? Like glue it down and then trim it up to match that size, whatever. I don't know. I'll see. I'm not too worried about it. So if you're not comfortable with this accordion and the delicateness of that, I kind of like it because you could also sketch something or have like one long message that you can't read till you have it fully out, you know? But again, you could do it like this too, where you sew in pages traditionally like a journal, and then have those sewn, the thread that you use, make your loop out of that and make your dangle out of that. Anyway, that's it. That's how you do it. I'm going to go in and reinforce this, reinforce that, and I'll probably paint something like love or something. I don't know, something. So your journal is actually done. So the only thing left to do is really optional. I like to do it because because when you hang it like this, oh, it's not on camera. When you hang it, see how it flails open? I like to keep it closed and safe. I'm going to press this down some more. So this is what I use. Okay, that's what I use. Velcro brand, and they're thin clear fasteners. So they're little bitty Velcros. If you've never seen these, I think only Velcro brand makes them, but maybe there's an off brand that makes them too. I don't know. If there is, let me know if y'all know of one. That would be totally cool. These are the only ones I have found. So they work in their Velcro, right? I mean, they're the same thing, and they have an adhesive on them, and they're super thin. Can you see how thin that is? Let's see if I can get this to focus, focus, focus. So, you know, regular Velcro is a lot thicker. Here, I'll show you. See, here's some regular traditional Velcro. So once you get like a double layer, look, can you see that double layer? Ooh, focus, focus. See the double layer? Pretty thick compared to double layer of which I can't take them off the sticky things, sorry. But I think you can tell, like, see the difference? I mean, these are like paper thin. I've used them for all kinds of applications, but what I do differently than, I don't know how other people use them, this is how I use them, so this is what I'll share. So you have to tell me if it works for you too. It works for me really well. So like I said, they're self-adhesive, but I like to reinforce it with Fabri-Tac. So I take my journal and I look at, oh, I need to trim this up some more. Wait, forgive me, just a sec. Gotta fix this, driving me crazy. Okay. So I like it to close about there in the top right part of the Love Locket. So I also like the, you know how Velcro has a hard side and a softer side, like more velvety kind of side. I like the velvety side on the back, and I like, this is just me, I don't know if there's like a reason or not, but that's how I like it. And I just attach them. So I've got them attached, right? And I do it really carefully so that way I don't accidentally attach more than one dot. And I just pull up, I usually pull up the velvety side first. I don't know, this is the way I do it, so I'm sharing it. So if it's kind of weird, okay, my phone keeps turning off. So that was annoying. So here's what I do is I cut it in half, and I'm using my, my paper junk scissors for this. And see how that one still has the sticky showing? So I'm actually going to get a little piece of this and put the sticky, so that way it doesn't ruin the sticky part. Okay, so we're just going to use half a circle. There's not a reason to use a whole circle. And I keep checking to make sure. So I like the velvety side, like I said, to go on the back side. So that's what that is. That's the velvety side. And I'm just going to put a little dab will do ya, of, oh, there's paint on that or something. Nice. On that side. And I'm going to adhere it. I'm just going to lay it down right there. And now I'm going to take carefully, I've got to look at this close. Okay, so I took it off, I took the sticky off, so that's the other side. And I'm going to put a little dab of my goopy glue on that one. And then, so I know for sure it's going to match up and be in the right spot, that's why I do it that way. There, done. Now is the hardest part. Don't touch it. You have to just leave it. Ideally overnight, before you open it again. So actually I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm not going to open it again, but I do, because that way I know for sure it's completely dry, and I would rather be safe than sorry, because it'll be a real pain if it comes undone. So, like I said, you can decorate this some more. There's so many things you can do. Like, it's just, I love projects like this when there's like limitless possibilities. This would make a really cute junk journal charm. Looks like I need to trim that up some more. There's just so many things you can do. Love Locket. Love Locket. I love making them. Okay, so I know it took forever to show you how to do that, but it is really fast, y'all. So this would be a great, if you have stuff like this in your stash, for a last minute gift. Or you can make a journal like what we did earlier. I hope you found this helpful, and I'm so glad you stayed. If you're here and you're at the end, I appreciate your time and that you took the time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope in some way it inspires you and helps you create something beautiful for the people that you love. I'll see you next time.